All right, so we're diving into this big stack of crypto articles.
Oh, wow, yeah.
You sent over a real mix here.
Yeah.
News analysis, even a guide for policymakers. So clearly looking ahead to 2025 and wanting to go deeper than just Bitcoin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're really trying to grasp those key trends that might signal massive growth, but also looking at the bigger picture of where crypto is headed.
Yeah, and it seems like you're interested in this idea of interoperability.
Yeah.
I mean, this Quebecx project pops up everywhere in this stack.
Yeah.
What's the big deal with it?
For years, the crypto world has been like a bunch of separate islands, right?
Right.
You've got Bitcoin over here,
Yeah.
Ethereum over there,
Right.
Solana doing its own thing.
Yeah.
Trying to get them to talk to each other has been a nightmare.
Right.
Imagine trying to pay someone in Bitcoin when they're using an Ethereum-based app.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very user-friendly.
Not at all.
So is that where Quebecx comes in?
That's the idea.
It's like a universal translator for crypto.
Yeah, they want to create this seamless experience where you can move assets between any blockchain without a hitch.
Okay.
Think of the possibilities.
Yeah.
A small business in Kazakhstan can use a decentralized app built on Ethereum, but get paid in Bitcoin without any complicated workarounds.
That would be huge for global commerce.
Absolutely.
And even beyond that, I see here that Quebecx is already making waves.
It is.
Over $13 million raised in their pre-sale.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, especially since they haven't even officially launched.
Wow.
There's a lot of buzz around it, with some analysts predicting it could hit $10 to $15 per token.
Really?
Yeah.
But isn't the success of this whole thing dependent on other blockchains adopting Quebecx technology? I mean, is that even realistic?
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
Quebecx can build the bridge, but it takes two to tango. They'll need to convince developers and platforms to integrate their solution.
Right.
It's a challenge, but if they pull it off, it could fundamentally change how we use crypto.
So Quebecx is all about breaking down walls between different blockchains.
Yeah.
But then I also got this Polkadot project in the mix.
Right.
They seem to be taking a different approach to interoperability.
Yes, if Quebecx is the universal translator, Polkadot is more like building a grand central station.
Okay.
They want to be the hub where all these different blockchains can connect and exchange data.
Right.
It's a really ambitious vision.
I mean, their parachain concept is intriguing.
Yeah.
Letting developers build their own specialized blockchains that plug into Polkadot. That sounds incredibly flexible.
Absolutely. But it's not without its critics.
Okay.
Some experts worry about potential scalability issues.
Yeah.
Can Polkadot handle the load if tons of projects start building on their platform?
You're right.
Network congestion could become a real problem.
So it's all about finding that balance between flexibility and efficiency.
Exactly.
Oh, wait, there's also news about a Polkadot spot ETF filing.
Yeah.
What's the significance of that?
That's potentially huge. If approved, it could open the floodgates for institutional investors to pour money into Polkadot.
Wow.
We're talking about Wall Street getting involved, not just retail investors.
So could that be the catalyst that really launches Polkadot into the stratosphere?
It's certainly a possibility.
Yeah.
But again, it comes back to those scalability concerns.
Right.
Can Polkadot handle that influx of capital and activity without running into major roadblocks?
Yeah.
It's a gamble, but one with potentially massive payoffs.
So we've got Quebecx aiming to be the universal translator.
Yeah.
Polkadot building the grand central station. It's fascinating to see these different approaches to solving the same problem.
Absolutely.
But there's another project you flagged that's piqued my interest. SUI.
Right.
They seem to be all about speed.
Exactly. SUI wants to win the race for the fastest, cheapest transactions.
Okay.
Their technology is focused on efficiency and boasts some really impressive speed metrics.
Okay, but how much faster are we talking?
Well,
Give me some numbers.
their testnet has shown transactions processing in under 3 seconds,
Wow.
with fees fractions of a cent.
Really?
To put that in perspective, some existing blockchains can take minutes to process transactions.
Right.
And charge fees that can really add up.
Yeah, that kind of speed could be game-changing.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking microtransactions, real-time payments,
Yeah.
things that just aren't feasible with slower, more expensive networks.
Right.
But isn't SUI a relatively new player?
It is.
Can it really hold its own against the established giants?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
It's attracting attention with major exchanges like OKX supporting USDC on its mainnet,
Okay.
which suggests growing adoption. But only time will tell if it can truly disrupt the market.
Okay, so we've got interoperability with Quebecx and Polkadot,
Yeah.
speed with SUI,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's this whole other layer of complexity. the lawmakers.
Right.
It seems like they're finally starting to pay attention to this whole blockchain thing.
Yeah, and their reactions are all over the map. Some governments are embracing the potential while others are cracking down.
Right.
But one thing is clear. Regulation is coming, and it's going to have a huge impact on the crypto landscape.
Well, I've got this article here about Polkadot launching a blockchain course for UK policymakers.
Oh, wow.
It's like blockchain 101 for politicians.
It's a fascinating development.
Yeah.
It highlights a real problem.
What's that?
A lot of lawmakers just don't understand this technology well enough to regulate it effectively.
Right.
So Polkadot is trying to bridge that knowledge gap.
That makes a lot of sense. You can't make informed decisions about something you don't understand.
Exactly.
Could this be the start of more crypto-savvy governments?
It's certainly a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And it begs the question,
What's that?
what happens when lawmakers start to truly grasp the potential,
Yeah.
but also the risks of this technology? How will their understanding shape future regulations?
That's a big question, and it's something we'll have to explore further. But for now, I think we need to take a deep breath and process all this information.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still more to unpack. Are you ready to dive back in?
Absolutely. Let's delve into some of the specific applications of this technology and see how it's already starting to change the world.
Sounds good.
All right, ready to dive back in. We've been talking about these big, almost futuristic ideas in crypto, but you've also got some articles here about real-world applications that are happening right now.
Yeah, this whole idea of tokenized assets keeps popping up.
Yeah.
To be honest, it sounded a little intimidating at first.
Sure.
But the more I read, the more interesting it gets.
It's a total game changer, and Quebetics is right at the forefront.
Okay.
Think about investing in things like real estate or fine art has always been reserved for the super rich.
Right.
It's a closed-off world. But blockchain technology, and specifically this idea of tokenization, is blowing that door wide open.
I'm starting to see that, but how exactly does it work? Break it down for me.
Imagine you've got a valuable piece of property.
Okay.
With tokenization, you could divide ownership of that property into tiny digital tokens.
Okay.
It's like taking something that was once a single indivisible asset and turning it into thousands, even millions of smaller pieces.
So instead of needing millions to buy an entire building,
Right.
you could buy a fraction of it through these tokens.
Exactly. Suddenly investing in assets that were previously out of reach becomes accessible to everyday people.
Wow.
And because these tokens are digital, they can be traded easily on a blockchain-based marketplace.
Okay.
It's like the stock market, but for real-world assets.
And Quebetics is creating a marketplace specifically for these tokenized assets.
That's right, and it's not just real estate.
Really?
We're talking about fine art, intellectual property, even things like carbon credits.
Wow.
It opens up a world of possibilities for both investors and the people who own these assets.
Okay, now my mind is really spinning.
Yeah.
Investors get access to new opportunities. Asset owners get more liquidity. It almost sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
But what about the risks?
There are always risks, especially in a new and rapidly evolving space like this.
Right.
One key challenge is regulation.
Yeah.
Governments are still trying to figure out how to handle this whole tokenized asset thing.
Oh, speaking of regulation, we've got this lawsuit against Binance in Nigeria.
Oh, yeah.
They're demanding a massive fine, claiming Binance is operating illegally.
It's a reminder that this space is still a bit of a Wild West.
Yeah.
Governments are playing catch up, and there's bound to be friction as the crypto world collides with existing financial systems.
So it's exciting, but also a little bit scary.
For sure.
What should investors be thinking about as they navigate this landscape?
Due diligence is key.
Okay.
Do your research, understand the risks, and don't invest more than you can afford to lose.
Right.
It's also crucial to stay informed about the regulatory developments in your specific jurisdiction.
Yeah.
The rules are changing all the time.
That's good advice, but I also see some positive signs.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about that Polkadot course for policymakers.
Right.
Maybe that's a sign that governments are starting to take this seriously, trying to understand it before they just crack down.
It's a hopeful sign. The more education and dialogue we have, the better the chances of creating a regulatory framework that fosters innovation while also protecting investors.
Okay, so we've got Quebetics pushing the boundaries with tokenized assets.
Yeah.
Polkadot trying to build the infrastructure for this new world. But let's not forget about speed.
Right.
What's the latest on SUI? Are they living up to the hype?
They're definitely making waves.
Yeah.
Remember, SUI isn't just about fast transactions.
Okay.
They're attracting a lot of developers who are building decentralized applications, or dApps on their platform.
Why SUI? What's drawing developers to it?
A few reasons.
Okay.
First, their technology is designed to be really user-friendly.
Yeah.
It's easy for developers to build and launch dApps, even if they don't have years of blockchain experience.
So it's lowering the barrier to entry.
It's exactly.
Which is always a good thing. But building a dApp is one thing.
Right.
Getting people to use it is another.
Sure.
What's SUI doing to attract users?
Well, speed and low transaction fees are a big draw.
Okay.
Imagine you're building a game or a social media platform on the blockchain. You don't want your users waiting minutes for transactions to go through or paying exorbitant fees.
Right.
SUI solves those problems.
I see. So if I'm a developer, I can build my dApp quickly and easily on SUI.
Yeah.
And then offer users a fast, affordable experience. It's starting to make sense.
Right.
But haven't we also been hearing about SUI making moves in the world of traditional finance?
Absolutely. They're not just focusing on the tech-savvy early adopters.
Okay.
SUI recently partnered with a major financial institution to explore the potential of tokenized securities.
Wait, tokenized securities?
Yeah.
Is that like tokenized assets, but for stocks and bonds?
You got it. It's about taking those traditional financial instruments and representing them as digital tokens on a blockchain.
Right.
It's a way to bring the efficiency and transparency of blockchain to the world of Wall Street.
Now that's interesting. So SUI is playing both worlds.
Yeah.
Attracting developers, building cutting-edge dApps, and exploring ways to revolutionize traditional finance. It's a bold strategy.
And it seems to be working. Their pre-sale has been incredibly successful, raising over $13 million. Wow. It shows that investors are taking notice.
So we've got this incredible convergence happening. You've got projects like Quibetics and Polkadot pushing the boundaries of what's possible with blockchain. You've got SUI building a platform for the future of decentralized applications and dipping its toes into traditional finance.
Right.
And you've got governments scrambling to keep up, trying to understand this technology before it completely reshapes the world.
It's a truly fascinating time to be watching this space.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're just getting started.
Well, I don't know about you, but my head is spinning.
Sure.
We've covered so much ground, but I know there's still more to explore. Should we take a quick breather before we dive into the final stretch?
I think that's a wise idea. Let's take a moment to gather our thoughts and then come back for the grand finale.
Sounds good. Okay, we're back. I feel like we've been on this whirlwind tour of the crypto world, and we're finally landing back on Earth.
Yeah, it has been a deep dive, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But, sometimes you need that kind of immersion to really understand the scope of what's happening.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this exploration of crypto in 2025 and beyond, what are the key takeaways you want our listener to walk away with?
Well, I think first and foremost, interoperability is no longer just a techie buzzword.
Yeah.
It's the foundation for a future where all these different blockchains can work together seamlessly.
Like we were saying earlier, it's about breaking down those walls between the different crypto islands.
Right.
And projects like Quibetics and Polkadot are leading the charge
Yeah.
in very different ways.
Right. Quibetics wants to be the universal translator, while Polkadot is more about building the grand central station where everyone can connect. Yeah. And the implications are huge.
I'm thinking about those real-world examples we discussed. A small business in Kazakhstan getting paid in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Even though they're using an Ethereum-based app. That kind of seamless transaction flow could revolutionize global commerce.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just payments.
Okay.
Think about supply chains, data sharing, even how we interact with governments and institutions.
Right.
Interoperability could unlock a level of efficiency and transparency we've never seen before.
Okay, so that's takeaway number one. Interoperability is the key to unlocking the true potential of blockchain.
I think so.
What else should our listener be thinking about as they navigate this space?
I think tokenized assets are another game changer.
Yeah.
This idea of taking real-world assets and representing them as digital tokens on a blockchain is going to have a massive impact.
It still feels a little mind-blowing to me. I mean, imagine being able to buy a fraction of a Picasso
I know.
through a blockchain marketplace. It just seems so futuristic.
But it's happening now, and it's not just about art.
Right.
We're talking about real estate intellectual property, even things like carbon credits.
Right.
It's about democratizing access to investment opportunities that were previously only available to the ultra-wealthy.
And it's not without its risks, of course.
Of course not.
We talked about the regulatory uncertainty, the potential for scams, the need for due diligence.
Right.
But the potential rewards are enormous.
Absolutely.
And then there's the whole question of speed and scalability.
Yeah.
SUI is a great example of a project that's really pushing the envelope in this area.
For sure.
They're not just talking about fast transactions. They're building a platform for a whole new generation of decentralized applications. And they're attracting both developers and traditional financial institutions.
Right.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it shows that the crypto world is maturing, becoming more sophisticated.
Right.
It's not just about speculation and getting rich quick anymore. It's about building real solutions to real problems.
But let's be honest, regulation is still the big elephant in the room.
Yeah, for sure.
We've seen everything from countries like Nigeria cracking down on Binance,
Right.
to the UK government taking a more proactive approach with that Polkadot course.
Yeah, it's a reminder that governments are still figuring out how to approach this technology.
Right.
And their decisions will have a huge impact on the future of crypto.
It's almost like we're at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Will regulation stifle innovation, or will it create a framework for responsible growth? It's a question that's still up in the air.
And it's one that every investor, developer, and crypto enthusiast needs to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
The decisions made in the next few years will shape the future of this industry for decades to come.
So as we leave our listener to ponder all of this, is there a final thought, a parting shot of wisdom you'd like to share?
I'd say this.
Okay.
Don't just focus on the hype.
Okay.
Look beyond the headlines and the price fluctuations. Focus on the underlying technology and the real-world problems it's trying to solve. That's where the true value lies.
That's great advice. And remember, this is a rapidly evolving space. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged.
Absolutely.
The future of crypto is being written right now, and you have the opportunity to be a part of it. So until next time, keep diving deep.
And keep learning.